I was so like mesmerized by Outerlands.
So the question is Outerlands a real game?
Correct.
So
thank you for asking my question to me and then answering it.
Anytime. Outerlands is based on a real game called Redder, designed by our amazing video game designer. His name is Anna Anthropy, based out of Chicago.
Awesome.
So Redder is a game that Anna had developed that then we licensed, but Anna developed the whole ending sequence that appears in the kind of climax of the film. And that was in the script. The way that ending sequence of the game was written into the script.
Excellent. And that I think that's one of the things that struck me the most is that the game felt very real to me, but it felt so intertwined with the story that it did exactly what I assumed that you wanted it to, which is make me feel a certain kind of way about what was going on. So nailed it.
Yeah, I was actually seeing how that end sequence, it was one thing, it was written into the script, this sort of way in which the game climaxes, which I won't give away.
Right.
But when like actually seeing that manifested in the game she designed in that sequence, I found it extremely poignant and emotional. And I find that very interesting, actually, how this sort of 8-bit, I don't know if that's the word for it, but this sort of basic computer imagery, there's something about that can be very, very powerful and emotional in its like simplicity.
Because it's, in a way, it's kind of stripped down, right? There's not a lot of fancy stuff and it's not photorealistic. And so you don't necessarily have a direct comparable thing in real life. You're really seeing it stripped down to its emotion. So it's like, once again, nailed it. Now, so for people who haven't seen the movie yet, maybe you want to give them like a summary of what Outerlands is before they go to the theater and check it out.
So Outerlands follows my character, Cass Marks. They're a sort of a jack of all trades. They're a nanny. They're a drug dealer. Sort of whatever they can do to get by is what they've done. And at the moment that we meet them, it's just prior to and then through this one night stand with this woman who has a kid that Cass ends up babysitting for longer than they intended to. And the film follows them through what happens as they care for this kid, deal with all of the feelings they're having for this woman. And ultimately, we are following them on a healing journey.
Yeah. And something that struck me about the characters is this kind of working through feelings of powerlessness. And it's like Cass is waiting for, this one night stand to come back and there's nothing they can do.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of things happening in Cass's life that feel out of their control, right. If not everything in their life feels sort of out of control. They're not even in control of like their schedule at work, right? They're trying to get these other shifts at the restaurant. And they can't get them. They're trying to find a new queer community as the queer spaces that they have spent so much time in and really sort of came into their identity in have closed. San Francisco is gentrifying and we really see that in the film. And so Cass is lost and alone and engaging in self-destructive behaviors to mask their, deep sort of sorrow and isolation. And then they meet this girl, Callie, who, we all know that feeling. You meet someone and they just sort of reinvigorate you or change the way that you see the world or give you hope in some way. And I think, Cass is just desperate for connection. And then, they have to confront the fact that they are left with this kid, played by Ridley Asha Bateman, who is just extraordinary. I cannot wait for people to see her.
So amazing.
In this film.
And the two of you together are magic. And I also was noticing how Cass was really trying so hard to contribute to someone. All that, like all the advice and all you should never let anybody get up on you like that. And these little things. And I thought, like, they're really trying to help someone, like they wanted to be helped.
Yeah, I think Cass definitely, they are a nanny. That is one of their jobs. And so I do think that Cass has a very childlike nature. They connect with children in that way. And I think this kid in particular, they see themselves in them.
Yes.
Certainly. There is an aspect of of them that they are trying to both care for and I think heal. And as you pointed out, you know, they are trying to help someone in the way that they needed help. But also, I don't even think they've recognized, certainly when we meet them, that they needed help in those ways.
Sure.
That is the journey we watch them go on, the journey of self-discovery in that way.
When you see yourself reflected in someone else, it can be the most enlightening thing. And Elena, am I right in saying this is your first narrative feature?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so you took on children and animals.
Exactly
that is
what
not
you're
the
not
rules.
supposed to do. I know.
Can
and
you
I
talk?
was duly warned.
Can you talk about that? Like, did you find it extra challenging, or did everybody just gel?
You know, I was really surprised by how not as challenging as I was told it was going to be. It was. And I think a lot of that had to do with like what a pro Ridley was. So we have limited hours, but she came so prepared. Yeah. We also had a really pro dog, Music, who literally is a pro. I am so glad I took the advice to work with a pro dog. I actually, there were certain dogs in my life that I kind of wanted to be in the movie, but
I have a dog that I pushed to be in the movie. But my dog is not a professional dog. My dog is just adorable.
Right. Just didn't get cast. It's brutal. We've all been there. Oh, sorry.
You can't always get the part. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's Hollywood, kid.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, it was really actually that aspect was way smoother, and I'm really glad I did it because that was just so those characters that was the story. I mean, having the kid and the dog, you know, it just was so part of it. So
I kept vacillating between like I felt like the kid. I felt like the adult. I was back and I was forth. And I thought what was just fascinating at the end is the idea of talking to your younger self. Yeah. And even the idea of writing as yourself in your dominant hand and as your child self in your other hand. And I thought, oh my God, that's amazing. Like I would try that if I was ambidextrous at all. And I wanted to ask y'all, like, what would you tell your younger self, knowing what you know now, especially after doing this movie?
Oh man. Well, I talked to my younger self a lot, actually.
Do you?
That kind of image was one of the things that was sort of the central image that gave the idea for this movie.
There you go.
I read about that.
Was this movie to your younger self?
In a way, yeah. In a way, yeah. Yeah, I think it's to all of ours. I think I've always been interested in how it's like we're walking around here as adults, but we all have these like little kids that we were, and I'm always super interested in like, what was your little kid like?
Right.
And like, what was I like? And how are we relating as adults to those kids? And are we relating to them? And I know for me, when I first started relating to my younger self, like I'd never done that before. It's actually very surprising in a way. And I was given that exercise. I read about it, or I think maybe a therapist gave it to me. I can't quite remember.
Therapist. Yeah, it's usually
probably. It sounds pretty therapy.
Or Instagram.
Before Instagram. It was before Instagram. But I remember being really, that whole thing with the left hand, you know, which is intended to kind of like loosen up. It just what comes out. You're not thinking. And I remember like tears springing into my eyes as I sort of was being communicated to. It was me, but it wasn't me.
Yeah.
And a very like tender moment. And I feel like we all have that, you know, kid. And
when I started paying attention to little Grae, it was when she gets mad. And then I'm like, wow, why am I so mad? And I realize it's because there's something that child me isn't getting in the situation, and that reveals something about myself as an adult. And every time I have that conversation, I'm like, damn, is this what everybody's thinking about in line at the grocery store? Right?
Yeah.
I admire that self-awareness.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
What would you tell your younger self?
Well, I mean, there are some dedications at the end of the film, and one of my dedications is to little AKD. Those are my initials. Because this is a film that had I seen it when I was younger or up until even now, I just know that it would have really affected me and allowed me to begin a journey of healing had I not already begun one. And then also, like this film is a dream come true in so many ways for me as an artist. for a very, very long time, from a very young age, I wanted to make quiet, character-driven, queer, independent stories that encouraged people to go on healing journeys. I mean, and when this film came along, I really couldn't. It was really magical when it came my way. I mean, I texted my manager immediately and I said, I have to make this film. Like, it's a yes. We have to set up this meeting with Elena as soon as possible. And so I just feel, I would tell my younger self, like, you're gonna do a thing that you really, really want to do in the way that you want to do it, with the people you want to do it with. So, like, get ready so you don't have to be ready, or like stay ready. What's the saying? Like, stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Yeah. That sounds right.
Yeah, something like that.
It sounds like it at least pertains to this for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
I do. Yeah, man. Telling your younger self that they're going to be helping other kids like them. Woo.